It's called Bob for short. Yeah. But it's going to be, this is a different one.
Okay, a little different. And the reason I've got this going is because the camera's range for my voice is only about 10 feet. And so when you watch the movies, people are going, how come the audio is so poor? Well, I'm slightly out of range for the camera. Even though it can see me just fine, it can't hear me very well. So, and this also helps anybody who's sitting back there too. All right? So where we were at the, we've already got all the vegetables and the meat in the pot, and we're starting to put the spices on it. So you got the salt, and this is going to be a teaspoon of cumin. You're also going to add half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and half a teaspoon of pepper, and of course a whole teaspoon of chili powder.
Steve,
Yeah.
do you ever use sea salt instead of salt, or is there any difference?
There's a kosher salt. There's actually kosher salt out there. And how would it be kosher? What would make it kosher?
Rabbi blesses it.
You have to leave.
Out the door.
I'm sorry, you're out. Out the door. No, and yeah. When anybody ever says that a rabbi blesses anything, that's wrong. There's no blessings. It's absolutely, there's no blessings.
They watch over the process?
Yeah, the process, yeah, they're going to be watching over the process to make sure that it follows the Torah, right? And if
Dairy products.
yeah, you're not going to mix the products. They're going to be kept separated, and things like blood and all of that have to be kept out of it. And you can't have, the proximity has to be kept right for anything that's not kosher. That's why the kitchen itself becomes kosher. You can't bring other foods in there. When I prepared this food in my kitchen, it's instantly not kosher anymore as soon as I start preparing it, because the kitchen is not kosher. We've got bacon in the refrigerator, so it's over with right there. You know, if a rabbi was to walk in there and say, "Oh, you prepared this Sabbath stew," that's very nice. And then he'd look in my refrigerator and say, "But nobody can eat it. I'm sorry. No Jew can eat it." So that's how that would work. Now this is one of those. Now this is for the Sabbath. This is the recipe is designed for the Sabbath, and like I was telling Annette, it's prepared the night before. And so all of this was prepared the night before. Yeah, last night I did this. And then I just set this on, well, for mine it doesn't actually have a medium. It has a high, a low, and a simmer. So I put this on low.
But can you leave that on the Sabbath?
Yes. This can remain on the Sabbath. See, what you would do is you would get your fire right and put it on there, and then leave it and not put any more wood and not do anything to it. And the Sabbath rolls over, you go to temple, you come home, and then you can eat. So it would burn down, and the embers would just keep it warming, just warm and just slightly cooking. And as I looked through here, I was kind of concerned that I might not have enough water, because I only put a half a cup of water in this whole thing. I'm thinking, gee, that's not very much. But as I look in here, you know, there's water in the vegetables, and there's water in the meat, obviously, and it all starts to trickle down inside there, and it's all well covered. So the only other thing that I did today was, when it finished cooking, I went in and I pulled the bones out of the meat and pulled the ring, and actually this ring of fat actually comes off. So all you got is this really tender lamb meat in there, and then just stirred it up. And I did do one other thing too, or actually a couple other things. I made some apple cider, and I decided, since you're having stew, why not a little fresh bread as well? Yeah, I can't stay over there because I'll get a little feedback from my speaker.
Steve, what was the name of that movie that you we're talking about
Against all odds. Now, if you go to Blockbuster to get it, they'll probably give you the one with the kids in it, and that's not the one you want. You want to be specific that this concerns the miracles of Israel. Okay.
On which channel? So what's the name of it though? Oh, TVN.
Infinity broadcast.
That's for 8 or 9. They show it something like Saturday and Sunday, sometimes on 5 or 6.
Okay.
They show that too.
Are you at a spoon dilemma over there?
I need another one.
Okay.
I'm using this one
Wait,
first and we'll
okay.
use it.
Nacho, would you mind go getting another ladle for the soup? Because they're,
And there's,
yeah,
we're
they're,
missing one cup.
Oh,
okay.
we need one more cup?
One more cup? Yeah, one more cup for the drink. Thank you. Okay, we finished chapter 45 last time, and we're moving over to 46. Dead idols and a living God. Isn't it funny how he has to keep going over this? Dead idols and a living God. So yeah, would you like to read the first couple of verses, maybe up to 10 or something like that?
All right, Isaiah 46.
Yes, sir.
Bel bows down, Nebo stoops low. Their idols are born by beasts of burden. The images that are carried about are burdensome, a burden for the weary. They stoop and bow down together, unable to rescue the burden. They themselves go off into captivity. Listen to me, O house of Jacob, all you who remain in the house of Israel, you whom I have held since you were conceived. I have carried since your birth, even to your old age and gray hair. I am he who will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you. I will sustain you, and I will rescue you.
Okay. All right, you can stop there. That's fine. Bel bows down, Nebo stoops. Their idols were on the beasts and the cattle. Your carriages were heavily loaded, a burden to the weary beast. Bel is a god of Babylon. He is equivalent to the Canaanite god Baal, and sometimes closely identified with Marduk. Remember this Merodach? Remember this guy? Remember we looked at some pictures of him? They had made statues, hollow statues that they filled with fire, and they would sacrifice their children on them.
Oh, yeah, oh, that's, there's another word for him, too.
Yeah.
Starts with, okay.
Yeah, some of these, it moves around. Yeah.
I've got a chart in my Bible, major idols mentioned in the Bible. And
Okay.
they have a list, about 7 of them here.
Okay, go.
And Bel is mentioned, and in parentheses after Bel is Marduk. So
Yep.
that must be the name.
We got it.
Where they worship, and it's listed Babylon, or Bel, and what they stood for, and Bel stood for weather, war, and sun god. And then finally, what the worship included, and it included prostitution and child sacrifice.
Yes, child sacrifice. There you go. There's a patron god of Babylon. The name Belshazzar is a theophoric name which utilizes Bel according to the apocryphal book Bel and the Dragon. Bel was struck down by Cyrus.
Yeah,
Does it say that?
no, it didn't say on the chart.
Okay.
But then it is Nebo and Ashtaroth and Shemoth and Molech and Baal.
What does it say about Nebo?
Nebo, it says son of Marduk.
Yep. That's what I
And
had.
he was also in Babylon. And what he stood for was learning, astronomy, and science. And it doesn't have anything about what the worship included.
Okay. The son of Marduk, whose temple was located in Borsippa. Proof of widespread worship of Nebo is shown by the many personal names compounded it during the Chaldean dynasty.
You know, that's awful close, isn't it, to Baal, God.
Well, yeah, it actually makes the reference here.
Oh, but I see, yeah. Yeah, and the Nebo, of course, there's Mount Nebo in, used to be Jordan, Transjordan. Was that was that like a high place, do you think? For Moses, remember, he looked over into, well, the promised land
Yes.
to go in.
Yes.
But it's
I think,
elevated.
yeah, I think that's the same area. Yeah. They stooped, they bowed together. They could not deliver the burden, but they themselves gone into captivity. Isaiah pictures God's people going into captivity in a forced relocation. Loaded on their beasts and carriages are the idols. Even their idols are carried away into captivity. The idol could not deliver them from their burden, but have themselves gone into captivity. Now, can you imagine if you're witnessing to somebody, you're talking to them about God for the very first time, and they're asking you, well, first of all, what does your God look like? Oh, let me go get him. He's in my car. You know, and you run out there and you get him, and you have to bring him in. You're bringing your God. The absurdity here, you know, is just beyond belief. Now, of course, we have these reproductions of Christ, but if you don't have that in your mind clear of the difference, then you need to destroy it.
How about a St. Christopher
Well,
hanging in your car?
you know, the thing about the St. Christophers and all of those other artifacts that, what do they call them in the Catholic Church? The
Saints?
no, not this. They have a specific name for them.
Word for it,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of it. Anyways, yeah, it'll come to me. Anyways, the Catholics will say, well, I pray to the saints and the patriarchs. I pray to them every day. You're losing track of where you're supposed to be. Your focus is off. You're wrong there. You're moving in the direction of idolatry. And when that starts to materialize itself in a statue or a St. Christopher, a cross, or some kind of piece of material hanging on the wall, you've gone the wrong direction. As I've started to accumulate the Egyptian statues that represent the different gods, this put a real heavy spiritual burden on me. I don't like to have them out. And it's necessary to make them in order so I know which one was with which plague and which one represents which activity of God. Plus, I also have, I have a statue that's made in China, I guess, and then I've got artifacts that are associated with that, so you can see the real deal that the Egyptians were looking at when they were praying. I had these things out on my counter, and I pray about